teachers are under attack. What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Thanks, Janelle Williams, who's one of the strong leaders here in the fight to save City College. And Janelle was just elected to be the student trustee.
That's right! Whose school?
Our school!
Whose school?
Our school!
Whose education?
Accreditation!
That's right! This is our school! I'm so proud to be here in solidarity with cities across the nation who are ready to defend our schools. 54 school closures is an outrage. It is unacceptable. We have to stand up. We have to fight back. This is part of a $680 billion plan by these neoliberals, these think tanks, these privatizers that would rather us be in debt slaves, work slaves, not having a future, not reaching for our dreams. City College is part of this. This was once the largest community college in the nation. We have now lost 20,000 students over the course of 2 years. This is an outrage. Like was said before, where are these students supposed to go? Where are we supposed to go to get our education? We are in solidarity with all public schools, and we're in this fight. I want to name out some of the folks who are part of this agenda. Michelle Rhee, Lumina Foundation, American Legislative Exchange Council. We need to expose these people for what they're doing to our communities, because we can't stand in silence. If we stand in silence, we will lose everything. They don't care about our families and our communities, especially black and brown communities. So we have to continue the fight. This is also a great betrayal. This is a great betrayal to students. We have the majority of the House with the Democratic Party, but we are still facing these attacks. What's going on? Why aren't they standing up? We have the majority of the House, so we have to call out and expose what is really truly happening, and we have to stand for justice and not be afraid to fight back. So whose school?
Our school!
Whose school?
Our school!
Whose education?
Corporate men, I'm glad you came by today, because that's exactly what I want you to do. This week, you and I and the ruling elite, the 1%, are going to be able to smash Chicago public schools in one fell swoop. 54 schools in Chicago are going to be shut. We've got the Board of Education in the palm of our hands. We know that public education stands in the way of our little corporate agenda. Corporate man, your job, because we've done our work here in Chicago, is to go to that bastion of people's power, of small d democratic power, San Francisco, and shut down, close once and for all. Yeah, what are you guys talking about? That's why we have to get rid of the people. City College of San Francisco is the country's biggest school, college, and your job is to take these millions of dollars in secret handouts and bribes, etc., whatever you need, poison pens, threats, and make sure that in a matter of a few weeks, this college, called City College, is shut down. Are you ready to go to Chicago, corporate man?
I'm ready to go to San Francisco.
No, everybody sing!
I'm ready to go to San Francisco.
This is our school, our city, and our voice. This is our school, our city, and our voice. Every day outside we're here, it's not our choice. Our city, our voice. Yay!
We hate those people, corporate man. So, off to San Francisco with you.
Yes, you've done a wonderful job here in Chicago, closing schools. It's going to be perfect for our real estate interests as we move the community out of this urban center area. We'll build nice upscale shopping centers and new condos for the rich. Right. And maybe we can do that. We're doing it all across the country, but we've been mostly focused on the schools, pre-kindergarten to high school.
To educate the uneducable. It's a terrible idea.
Well,
terrible idea.
Well, I hear that terrible City College was fighting against the Student Success Task Force, and they were trying. They're preventing reform.
Success. That's what we have to stop.
They're preventing reform of education. We can't do all these things for the community. We're spending too much money on public education.
Exactly, corporate man. Now you've got it. Go to San Francisco because we're spending too much money and government agency on public education. Shut them down, corporate man.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to San Francisco.
We got a corporate agenda here, masquerading as school reform, masquerading as school reform, masquerading as school reform. We got a corporate agenda here, masquerading as school reform, masquerading as school reform.
No, we're for school reform. And you know, there's too many. We can't be teaching everybody. We can't be educating everybody in society. We'll go broke.
Back to the salt mines with them.
That's right. They can go out and find a job, you know.
Pencil in the bubbles.
And you know what? The more testing we have, you know, that we can make a lot of money on producing these tests and the software and the computers and the young people, you know, they go to private school and pay there. They'll have to get government loans and we'll make a lot of money.
Private school, that's a ticket. Private school.
For profit. For profit schools. Yes.
Let the cream rise to the top, eh, corporate man?
And opportunity, we're gonna send education quality and opportunity.
Corporate man, save the day.
Well, we got to do something, you know. We will, you know what? We'll just have that Accreditation Commission decertify the college, and then we'll just, you know, we've been paying a lot of money to that commission, and they've been sanctioning a lot of colleges I hear in California, so that'll be very convenient.
Good work, corporate man. When do you leave?
I'm going to leave today, right?
And not a moment too soon.
Right.
Dude, we're gonna chase you away, corporate man. We're gonna chase you away.
Okay, we're here to support your brothers and sisters with their fight to stop school closures in Chicago and to keep our city college open. It is no accident that this closure will affect many students, but especially the African American, Latinos, and Pacific Islanders. And recently we were in a national town hall meeting in Washington where we know that education is not a privilege. Education is a privilege, not a right. Okay, this is not only our students, this is our city, our schools, our voice. What is this? This is our city, our schools, our voice. Thank you.
That when education starts with our youngest children, they need to have somewhere to go. City College has been the place for them to go. We cannot lose City College. We cannot have City College compromised. This is critical to our city, critical to the education of our children. When you look at what's going on in Chicago, and if you look at the left sleeve on our shirts, it says, "We are one with Chicago." When you look at that, think about what is being done. When you close 54 schools, where do those children go? When you close City College, where do those students go? What becomes of education and the promise of education for our children? What becomes of the promise of education for our city? We are here to say that this must not happen. We are here to say that we stand with City College. We stand to maintain City College as a strong, vibrant leader in our city. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for the closing gift. Thank you very much.
Opportunity from sea to shining sea. This is our school, our city, and our voice. This is our school, our city, and our voice. Having these outsiders here is not our choice. Our school, our city, our voice. Gentrification and threats to close our schools. Gentrification and threats to close our schools seem to go hand in hand with the corporate rule, and that just downright cruel. We'll defend public education. We'll defend public education and protect the right to quality for all. That's our national call.
City!
Our city!
Whose school?
Our school!
Whose voice?
Our voice!
Whose city?
Our city!
Whose school?
Our school!
Whose voice?
Our voice!
The story of what's happening in Chicago and the story of what's happening at schools all across the country, including here in San Francisco, is not so different. You've heard we had corporate man here earlier. We managed to chase him out. Yay! But the story of the voices of the people of the cities, of the students, of the parents, of the community, of the teachers, of the staff in the schools, the people who serve the students and make sure that quality public education happens on the regular for students in every community, those are the voices that are being silenced. Is that something we want to happen?
No!
Are we going to let that happen?
No!
The fight to save City College of San Francisco is really not that different from the fights to save schools and colleges across the country, to save quality public education across the country. And that includes from pre-K through graduate school. Our communities deserve to have education and quality education that everyone has accessible to them, no matter what their income, no matter what the color of their skin. These are things that we have to stand up for and ensure that quality public education is accessible to all. Is that something we're going to make happen?
Yes!
Whose city?
Our city!
So I want to remind you that in San Francisco, voters voted at 73% to ensure that City College of San Francisco had accessible education at City College of San Francisco for our students. 73%. People said it couldn't be done. People said, oh, there's no money. Is there money?
Yes!
So this year, for the first time in 5 years since before the recession, City College of San Francisco's revenues are returning. They're returning because of the Prop A funds that 73% of the voters and many of you helped to make sure came into the college. They're returning because of Proposition 30, which is a tax primarily on the rich to ensure that public education is refunded in California. This is the first time that revenues at City College will be returning to normal, will be returning to pre-recession levels. And yet, do we have a voice in what happens for our students, for the community, for access at City College?
Yeah!
We're going to have to make that happen. So in a moment, we're asking you to call the Board of Trustees, the President of the Board of Trustees, so that we can have a voice in how the money gets spent, in making sure that we retain quality, accessible education for San Franciscans. And so I ask you again, whose city?
Our city!
Whose school?
Our school!
Whose voice?
Our voice!
Whose school?
Our school!
Students, parents, teachers are under attack. What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Students, parents, teachers are under attack. What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!